No, it's all good. And, I remember us talking in September last year, and, everything was going up. And you were saying, look, the bear market is coming. And quite frankly, Ben, you were like a party pooper. And I remember, I've got an academy, and I have all my students in my academy, and they're big fans of you, and I'm always quoting you, and and I'm always talking. I was like, look, Ben's talking about this happening. It's just to remember, and we always talk about stop losses and stuff. But I remember we had our 10-year anniversary, and I was interviewed in the studio for our 10-year anniversary, and that's when Bitcoin hit its high of 69,000. And it's interesting to know that you were talking about that, and I think it's because you've been in this market so long that the cycles come and go. I think you say it's like 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. But how did you know that, and how were you comfortable saying that even back in September?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just been very obvious. I mean, people are always trying to reinvent the wheel in crypto. And there's this giant kind of like contest of who the smartest person in crypto is. And people are always trying to come up with these really unique, like complicated theories on where Bitcoin is going to go and why it's different this time and how the network and the adoption plays. No, guys, it's a 4-year cycle. That's it. It's simple. It's way more simple. And people that are real traders out there that have been trading traditional markets for a long time, it drives them insane that it's this simple. They want it to be so complicated. But the fact is, every 4 years, the Bitcoin production gets cut literally in half. Layman's terms, today there's about 900 Bitcoin being mined per day. In 2024, sometime between March and April, it's going to go down to 450 Bitcoin per day. You can't understate the importance, or you can't overstate, the importance of that. Literally cutting the supply in half. And kind of the example I use is like, imagine if every 4 years in the United States, we cut the amount of oil and gas coming in by 50%. Imagine how expensive gas would be in 20 years from now. It would be insanely expensive because supply and demand would dictate it. Well, supply and demand is built into the Bitcoin code with this Bitcoin halving. And every 4 years during the presidential election years, we see Bitcoin hit an all-time high. Every 4 years in the midterm election years, we see the price of Bitcoin bottom. And that's where we're at right now. And everybody always says the same thing. They say, it's different this time. There's this many more people in crypto. People know about this now. You can go back as early as 2012 and you can look at news article after news article after news article. Every single time Bitcoin was near an all-time high, every single time Bitcoin was near a low, every single time the Bitcoin halving was occurring, people were always saying the same thing. It's different this time, and they've been wrong for 13 years. It's the same. It continues to be the same. It might change one day. Maybe when the amount of Bitcoin being mined per day is much, much smaller. I think we still have another 3 or 4 cycles left, at least, kind of going at this pace. But the adoption doesn't really factor in. All the adoption for Bitcoin does is it kind of adds fuel to the fire for the bull runs. But we're still seeing people, when the price hits a peak, leave the space in droves. And that's going to continue. People are always looking for a quick buck. And so last year, I was looking at the price of Bitcoin. And, I said that this year was going to be a bear market 3 or 4 years ago, because it's just obvious the way that this has continued on. And so I was very confident. I was on a show last year with, 5 other people. There were 6 of us on the show. And 4 of them were literally laughing at me for saying we were going to be in a bear market next year. And then I was like, no. We're too far along now. The price of Bitcoin is pretty much only going up from here. Maybe have a little retrace. Well, we've been down over 70%. Again, the average is 85%. And we believe we may not touch 85%. That's $10,366 would be that price point. But somewhere in that 78 to 85% range, we think is where Bitcoin's going to bottom out later this year.
All right. So we got more pain to go. How low is it going to go, Bitboy?
Well, that's a great question. And I think, for us, we've had a target on this $10,000 to $14,000 range pretty much ever since, I think it was back in April, we called this officially a bear market. The Russian-Ukraine stuff kind of complicated things because, traditionally, war has been good for markets. I know it sounds very callous, but the fact is it's true. So we thought maybe we could see some potential upticking from that. And we did. We saw it go up through April. I think it got back up to 48,000, I think is where it peaked out at around the Bitcoin conference. And then it just, shot back down. As soon as it went back below 40, I knew at that point, okay, we are definitely in bear market territory. And so we called it officially a bear market. We did a video where we looked at when, kind of a timeline looking forward. And that's where we started with this $10,000 to $14,000 range. Like I said, 10,366, the exact number would be an 85% drawdown from the all-time high. And interesting, you were doing something pretty cool with your 10-year anniversary when Bitcoin hit its all-time high. I was celebrating the Braves winning the World Series. I was in Houston for the, my local team here, the Atlanta Braves, got season tickets. Went out there to Houston with my son and one of my best friends. And, the next morning is when Bitcoin hit an all-time high. I was just way up here. It was definitely cool to see. But now we're on the bottom side. We're on the downswing. So from that peak to where we think we're going to see somewhere in the $10,000 to $14,000 range. Now, I'm starting to wonder at this point, because I'm pretty sure we were definitely at least one of the first channels, if not the first channel, to officially put out, we believe $10,000 to $14,000, even when it was at $38,000. We believed that was going to be the bottom range. Now that $10,000 to $14,000 range is like where everybody's saying it's going to go. Now that everybody's saying it's going to go there, I'm specifically looking at kind of 13.5 through 15,000 as a potential bottom. Once it goes down into that range, I've been telling my channel right now, we're on bottom watch. It could happen any day. We believe it's probably going to happen near the end of November, beginning of December, but we're within a margin of error here where we could like if the Fed announced something crazy or, we had another Celsius situation, we could see it plummet further and have a large wick sooner. But when it hits that $13.5 to $15,000 range, we're definitely going to be adding a lot of ammunition in our personal buys for crypto.
Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.